Rising abruptly from the undulating blue of Earth's vast oceans, are they fragments of worlds torn apart by time? The remains of ancient continents, adrift, isolated. Here, evolution took a different path. Life, freed from predators and competition, became bold, eccentric, fearless. The wings shrank, the teeth disappeared. The giants were reduced to miniatures. Nature, unopposed, dreamed freely. A bird that no longer flew, a lemur that sang to the moon, a turtle that carried centuries on its shell. They were worlds apart. Some were lost in the ignorance of humanity, but others persist, no less amazing than their extinct cousins. Today, we're going to take a look at the unique and amazing world of island wildlife. These are the strangest and most beautiful exiles in the world. Morning slips in over Madagascar. The air is thick with fog and the sweet scent of ylang-ylang in bloom. Rays of gold pierce through the treetops of the rainforest. Shining against the red earth, the curved spines of the baobabs stand like sentinels. With the light of dawn, the forest stirs. The shadows flutter among the leaves. A figure jumps. A flash of pale fur lights up the air. Limbs extend, and a vero sifaka, Propithecus vero. It lands with the grace of a falling feather. It stops, head tilted, amber eyes attentive to the beating of wings. Around it, others follow, a small troop. This is a family united by smell and hearing. They move with long floating leaps from trunk to trunk. They travel like ghosts through the green air. Madagascar has been adrift from Africa for more than 80 million years, a fragment of a continent, a relic of Gondwana. Isolated from the rest of the world, life was forced to reinvent itself. Here there are primates but no monkeys, predators but no felines. It is an echo of a lost world, where every creature feels both familiar and strange. High in the trees, the Indri emits its song, a long, ascending and melancholic sound. From a distance, it looks as if another human being is screaming in fear. The Indri is the largest lemur, standing nearly a meter tall, and is black and white like old smoke. It moves with powerful legs adapted for climbing and hands that grip bark. It feeds on leaves and lives in pairs, remaining faithful throughout the year. When she sings, she doesn't do it alone, but in a duet. The pairs call to each other in unison, harmonizing among the trees, their voices merging like memories and laments. Below the Daubentonia madagascariensis, it awakens. It is a nocturnal creature, but even now, in the shadows that fade at dawn, it stirs in its nest. Long fingers curl through the black fur. The third, elongated like a twig, taps repeatedly against a branch. The sound is faint, like an insect's, but precise, a kind of sonar. Beneath the bark, a beetle larva moves. The eye stops. Its broad, white-rimmed ears tilt forward. Then a flash of movement. A tooth drills through wood. A claw gets caught deep, and so suddenly the larva disappears, extracted from its tunnel. The eye feeds like no other primate on Earth, half lemur, half spectre, a relic of evolution's strangest dreams. Through the undergrowth, another form moves, low, muscular, and deliberate. A pit viper, Cryptoprocta ferox. Measuring almost 2 meters long from snout to tail, it stealthily glides among the ferns. A glossy, coppery-brown coat ripples over its muscles. Eyes squint, ears twitch. It is the island's top predator, neither cat nor dog, but something in between, descended from ancient mongoose-like ancestors that came here across the sea. The fossa hunts lemurs, chasing them through the branches in a dizzying pursuit. The predator can jump from tree to tree with amazing speed. Few manage to escape once they are chosen. Meanwhile, the rainforest vibrates with a complex mix of sounds. The chirping of cicadas, the trilling of birds, the croaking of frogs in hidden pools. On a nearby branch, a chameleon moves slowly. Its tail curls into perfect spirals, and its legs grip twigs and leaves with equal care. The skin changes. From emerald to ochre, passing through an intense forest green. In response to light and temperature, its eyes move independently. One fixed on the chittering of a nearby gecko, the other alert to any danger. Suddenly, both turn forward. Its mouth opens. Its tongue shoots out, longer than the chameleon's own body, attacking with pinpoint accuracy. The insect disappears. The branch stops again. At midday, the heat grips the forest. The troop of sifakas rests in the treetops, preening each other, their fur coated in pollen. Below, the streams dwindle to silvery threads snaking among the roots. The air smells of resin and sun-warmed bark. Far off on the open plains beyond the forest, the landscape changes. Dry thickets of thorny trees, alien silhouettes beneath a blazing blue sky. There is another Madagascar here, a ring-tailed lemur, Lemur cata. The bird, with its tail striped in black and white like tribal paint, leads its group through the reddish dust. Its calls echo in the heat. They travel together, searching for tamarind pods and cactus fruits. The young bird clings to its belly, its eyes wide and its fur pale. Every few meters he stops, scanning for movement. A shadow could mean a snake, or worse, a pit. Even so, she keeps going. As evening falls, the baobabs cast long shadows across the ground. Lemurs climb their rough bark to feed on the tender leaves. Insects swarm where the sweet sap flows. High above, a pair of Malagasy fish eagles, Haliaeetus, perch. Vociferoids, flies in circles. They dive in, claws outstretched, and the river's surface bursts into a silvery spray. The prey never sees it coming. When the rains arrive, the island transforms. From December to April, storms rise from the Indian Ocean and sweep across the forests in waves of thunder. The dry, red earth turns to mud, streams overflow, and the air is thick with the scent of wet bark and rotting fruit. The lemur mothers give birth now, clinging to the safety of the branches. Tiny faces peek out from among the fur, blinking in the rain. Frogs croak in every puddle, their voices mingling with the constant buzzing of insects. Chameleons are born in secret, their colorless skin already prepared to reflect the world they will soon know. For a time, abundance reigns, but when the rains stop, the green fades. The dry season returns, the puddles shrink. The cicada's song intensifies. The lemurs travel greater distances each day, venturing into open terrain in search of food. The eye hunts at night, and the pit becomes thin. The creatures of Madagascar endure because they have always endured, but now a new shadow looms over us. Forests are cut down for charcoal and farmland. Roads fragment the wilderness. Of the island's lemurs, more than 90% are endangered. The eye hides deeper each year, hunted by those who fear it brings bad luck. The distribution area of the pit is reduced. Even so, the island breathes. At dawn, when the mist curls among the tree trunks and the light shines green through the canopy, the sifaka leaps again. A mother carries her young in a cradle of fur. The Indri's call echoes through the valley, rising above the buzzing of insects. Beneath the branches, the eye strikes. Tap, tap, tap. Life seeking life. As evening falls, the forest transforms once more. Shadows lengthen and the trees gleam golden in the setting sun. Sifakas gather. The eye vanishes into the night. The pit stalks unseen. Somewhere in the darkness, the Indri sings. In the distance, the waves crash against the rock. The air gets colder. The scent of moss and ice replaces that of rain and resin. Dawn breaks like liquid gold over New Zealand's South Island. The mist curls between the valleys of ancient ferns. The forest breathes, cool, green, primitive. No roar, no whisper of mammal footsteps disturbs him. Only the whisper of wings, the rustling of beaks among the leaves, the soft patter of rain on the moss. This is a land born from the volcano and the sea, a place where birds became everything that mammals would be elsewhere. Beneath the imposing canopy of podocarps and rimu, a form stirs. Small, round and stealthy, the kiwi sniffs among the leaf litter. It moves cautiously, guided not by sight but by smell. It is the only bird in the world with its nostrils at the tip of its beak. Each sniff is a question, each whisper of the earth is an answer. Worms, beetles, its feathers soft and fine like hairs skim the earth, camouflaging it in the twilight. It doesn't need to fly. Its wings are mere stumps hidden beneath its plumage. Here, in this isolated archipelago, flight was long ago abandoned in favor of life on land. The kiwi is a relic from another era, from a time before predators. Above, the treetops teem with life. Sunlight illuminates flashes of green and gold. The kaka, Nestor meridionalis, a forest parrot. It climbs with agile claws and a hooked beak, tears off bark in search of insects, and its squawks, similar to laughter, echo among the trees. In the shadows below, a heavier cousin watches, the kakapo strigops habroptilus. Fat, moss-green, and with solemn eyes, he climbs the branches instead of flying. Once these parrots filled the night with powerful squawks that echoed like distant thunder in the valleys. Now their voices are faint, known only in a few scattered sanctuaries. The wings of the kakapo. They flap their wings but never rise. His body is too heavy. He walks the forest floor as his ancestors did when the world was safe. Near a cold mountain stream, a kia Nestor, notable. It lets itself be carried by the wind. Its feathers flash olive green and orange, its wings outstretched as it cuts through the air. Known for its mischief, the kia is a cunning bird. This alpine parrot is clever enough to solve riddles and bold enough to test anything it can take apart. It glides low, tilts its head, and lands next to a backpack abandoned by a hiker. In seconds, the straps are undone and the pockets are open. It opens in one swift motion, croaks triumphantly, and takes off again towards the snow. Meanwhile, beneath a blanket of moss, a pair of eyes open. The tuatara, Sphenodon punctatus. It stirs, its body greenish-grey and scaly like fossils, stretches in the moonlight. On its back, spines rise like serrated leaves. It moves slowly. The tuatara is not a lizard. It is a remnant of a lineage older than snakes or crocodiles, a survivor from the dawn of the Jurassic when reptiles ruled. Its heart beats slowly. Its life is long. A century can pass between its first breath and its last. Tonight it waits near its burrow, motionless as a stone. That is, until a hint of movement is perceived. A moth drawn by the moon. A single, precise strike, and the night continues. With the arrival of spring, the forests change their voice. The sunlight intensifies, flowers bloom among the ferns, and the air fills with song. The kiwi lays its egg, enormous in comparison to its body. The male takes over, warming it in a deep burrow. High in the treetops, the kaka tend to their young, and the air smells of honey and resin. Winter arrives gently. Frost descends stealthily from the mountains, tinging the leaves with silver. The streams become mirrors. The treetops grow still, and the songs fade into whispers. The kiwi's steps slow down. The tuatara digs deeper burrows. The ki still flies. This is the season of stillness. For millions of years, this world had no land mammals, no snakes, no claws to chase birds or teeth to tear them apart. Here, life evolved in peace. The birds became bold, heavy, rooted to the earth. The first ships arrived only a few centuries ago. The Polynesians arrived first, bringing fire and dogs with them, and the great moas, gigantic flightless birds taller than a man, began to disappear. They were slow, docile, and numerous. Their only defense had been their size. The hunters arrived with spears, and the fate of the moas was sealed. But when the moa disappeared, so did its shadow, Haast's eagle. This was the largest eagle ever known. With a wingspan of 3 meters, it could take down prey twice its own weight, attacking with claws the size of a tiger's. Then came another wave, the Europeans with their ships and their cargoes of stowaways. Rats, stoats, cats, and dogs landed on the coast. The balance was broken. The powerful cries of the kakapo faded into silence as the nests were plundered. The kiwi eggs, once safe in the darkness, vanished. Even the tuatara took refuge on islands near the coast. Today, only fragments remain of that great avian kingdom. On predator-free islands, the kakapo reproduces again by moonlight. The kiwi still roams sheltered valleys, its shadow gliding through the mist. The tuatara, slow and silent, guards the lineage of old. The kea, with its untamed curiosity, scratches at the tires and roof racks of cars in mountain villages. The spirit of the land endures. Even so, the ghosts remain. Deep within limestone caves, the bones of moa lie where they fell, perfectly preserved. Eagle talons rest beside them. At dusk, the forest breathes again. The kiwi emerges to feed, its long beak probing the earth with delicate precision. Nearby, a kakapo emerges from its hole. The key cries from the heights, its cry, half laughter, half defiance, echoing among the stars. And from the shadow of a fern, the tuatara blinks. New Zealand remains a world apart. Here, wings have replaced fur, beaks have replaced claws. On the other side of the ocean, where the horizon burns with volcanic glow, another island awaits. The air is filled with the smell of ash and salt. The lava meets the sea, the steam rises in columns that paint the sky. And there, among the black rocks and the fire, a new life emerges. The morning sun rises heavy and white over the Galapagos. It overflows onto black volcanic rock and tidal pools that shine like molten glass. The air is heavy with salt. The horizon seems infinite. These islands, scattered like ashes across the equator, are young. They are of volcanic origin. Despite their hardship, they live. Here, life not only survives, but invents. On a rugged coastline, the marine iguana, Amblyrhynchus cristatus, it stirs. Its flat black body is covered in obsidian-like scales, blending perfectly with the rock. Steam rises around it as the cool night gives way to heat. It moves slowly. Its claws grip the lava. A group of them remains nearby, motionless but alert, their eyes squinting to protect themselves from the glare. Then, propelled by the tide, it moves, sniffs the air, and glides toward the waves. The sea hisses as the iguana enters. Its long, laterally flattened tail moves like a paddle. Beneath the surface, the creature transforms, clumsy on land, graceful in the water. It dives, propelled by a slight movement of its body, feeding on the algae attached to the submerged rocks. Bubbles bubble from its nostrils, scraping the green film with its short, serrated teeth. The sea is cold, but its blood warms for a while, long enough to feed. As it surfaces, salt water drips from its snout. With a sudden, sharp sneeze, it expels excess salt through special glands in its nose. Venturing deeper inside, the giant tortoise moves patiently. Its domed shell gleams dimly in the morning light, shaped by a century of harsh weather. It raises its head, stretching its long neck toward the spiny pads of a cactus. A slow bite, a soft crunch, and a thread of pulp hangs from your mouth. These tortoises are the architects of the island. Where they graze, they create trails, disperse seeds, and shape ecosystems. They are living relics of a pre-human era. On the neighboring island, their cousins look quite different. Here, the shells rise like saddles, arching very high, and the necks lengthen even further. This is an elegant adjustment to achieve higher levels of power. Throughout the archipelago, the tortoises of each island have diverged, shaped by the food that grows there, the shade that exists, and the challenges that await them. Not far away, in a thicket dotted with dry bushes and thorns, a finch hops from branch to branch. Its plumage is common, brownish-grey in colour, but its beak, well, that's truly remarkable. Short, sturdy and strong, it cracks open seeds with ease. On another island, its relative's beak is longer and narrower, ideal for exploring cactus flowers. On yet another, a sharp, pointed beak tears apart the insects hiding beneath the bark. Dozens of forms, each slightly different, each shaped by necessity. To the untrained eye, they all look like the same bird, but they're not. They are perfect proof of evolution. It was these birds and their subtle differences that captivated the mind of a young naturalist named Charles Darwin. He arrived in 1835 aboard the Beagle. Very soon his notebook was filled with sketches and questions. How could such similar creatures differ so much from one island to another? Why does a finch's beak change depending on its food, or a turtle's shell shape depending on its habitat? The Galapagos Islands became his revelation. This was the birthplace of the theory of evolution by natural selection. As the temperature rises, the land transforms. The green of the rainy season becomes brittle. The earth cracks. The cacti wither. What was lush just a few months ago turns into brittle parchment under the sun. Marine iguanas crowd the shore again, conserving energy. The turtles retreat to the cooler highlands, and the finches adapt again, changing their diet, their methods, and their song. Each one adapts, as they always have, to the rhythm of this unforgiving world. When the rain finally returns, it arrives without warning. The sky opens, and torrents soak the parched earth. In a matter of hours, dry ravines become rivers. The seeds, long dormant, awaken. The landscape explodes in a display of impossible colors. Flowers bloom, insects swarm, and the air fills with movement. Turtles emerge from their muddy burrows, their shells glistening wet and dark. The finches gather in chorus, their songs interwoven through the mist. Life, paralyzed by the drought, is resurging with force. In this cycle of extremes, time doesn't move in a straight line. Generations succeed one another in the blink of an eye, like a volcanic heartbeat, and each one brings something new. Here, adaptation isn't a distant theory. It's visible, tangible, written on every scale and feather. Along the coast, the blue-footed booby, Sula Nabuxi, performs her dance. The males raise one bright turquoise leg, then the other, strutting with a slow, rhythmic gait to attract the females. The females watch, assessing. The bluer the legs, the healthier the male, a sign of good nutrition and strong genes. A pair forms, and together they build a nest of pebbles. The eggs arrive, pale and perfect, warmed under careful wings. Around it, the world is hostile, but life persists. Not far away, a flightless cormorant, Phalacrocorax harisi. With its short, frayed wings, it preens itself among the rocks. Its ancestors flew long ago, but here, in this land without predators, the wings became useless. The muscles shrank, the feathers thickened, and diving replaced flying. It dives easily, hunting fish in the shallow reefs. At dusk, the shadows lengthen on the black rock. The tide goes out and the iguanas return from their seagrass beds. They huddle together, sharing the warmth. Some climb on top of each other. One opens its mouth with a quiet hiss. Another sneezes salt. The air cools, the smell of seaweed becomes heavy. From inland, a turtle moves, its shell brushing against the volcanic rock, its slow breathing visible in the light of the setting sun. The night brings calm. A lava heron stalks crabs in the moonlight. Stars shine blindingly nearby. Beneath them, the islands slumber, their creatures resting to the rhythm of the tides. It's hard in a place like this not to feel that evolution itself breathes here. From these small beginnings, Darwin glimpsed the grandeur of life's pattern. He understood that nature was not fixed, but fluid, and that its forms were constantly changing over time. And it was there, among those islands of lava and wind, that he glimpsed the law that would define biology for centuries. That life is not static, but is in constant dialogue with its environment. Today, the Galapagos Islands remain a living archive of that truth. Scientists keep arriving, following the finch's migration routes, measuring tortoise growth and mapping the hidden genetic makeup of isolation. However, the islands face their own challenges: invasive species, warming seas, and human presence. The delicate and ancient balance trembles once again. But the iguanas continue to bask in the sun. The finches continue to sing. The turtles continue to traverse the paths their ancestors traced 1,000 years ago. At dawn, a young turtle emerges from the undergrowth. Its shell, still soft, reflects the faint light. It is a slow and gradual advance. These are their first forays into a world that is both hostile and miraculous. Around him the island is bustling, finches singing, iguanas changing, waves crashing against the volcanic rock. Beyond this isolated paradise, the winds carry us westward, towards a world of rainforests and silver rain. Here, the very air teems with life. The Galapagos Islands fade away behind us, dissolving into the shimmering sea. Dawn breaks over the Philippine archipelago. They are 7,000 islands scattered like emeralds on a restless sea. The air is thick, filled with the scent of damp earth and flowering vines. The forests begin to awaken. The fog coils between tree trunks older than history. The dew slides down the leaves, which are large enough to capture the morning light as if they were mirrors. And high above, where the forest merges with the sky, a shape waits in silence, broad-winged, crested without blinking. The Philippine eagle, Pithecophagor jeffrey, it observes. Its talons grip a moss-covered branch, the muscles of its legs tense. With a wingspan of 2 meters, it stands at the very top of the treetops. The wind stirs, a whisper below. A long-tailed macaque moves among the branches, unaware of the stares fixed on her. The eagle takes flight. The air explodes around its wings, the silence shatters into fury. A dive, a flash of pale feathers, and the forest grows still again. When the leaves settle, the eagle feeds. Beneath this majestic world, where sunbeams pierce the leaves like lances, another hunter stirs. A tarsier, Carlito siricta, no bigger than a man's fist, clings to a thin trunk. Enormous, round, and a brilliant amber, its eyes reflect the dawn like twin moons. Its head turns almost completely, scrutinizing its surroundings. Its fingers, with tiny pads at the tips, grip the bark as it crouches, motionless. Suddenly it moves. A moth floats by, its wings whispering in the still air. The tarsier leaps. Its body arches in perfect silence, catching the insect mid-flight. It lands, devours it, and waits again. The forest is dense, but every corner vibrates with life. Cloud rats, with their soft fur and large eyes, move among the highest branches. Its fur shines in shades of cinnamon and grey. Their long, feathery tails help them balance as they climb. Nocturnal and docile, they feed on fruit and tender shoots whose seeds fall from their feet to the forest floor. Their droppings then disperse the seeds again. As the morning progresses, the sun's rays pierce through the fog. The forest begins to glow. A flying dragon, Draco, volans, a tiny lizard no longer than the length of a hand, flattens its body against the bark of a tree. Along its sides unfurl thin membranes, translucent with a golden-green pattern. It leaps, gliding from trunk to trunk, a living leaf adrift in the air. Above all, what defines this archipelago is fragmentation. On one island, hornbills have developed crown-like crests. On another, shrews sing among the undergrowth. Across the water, frogs croak with notes never heard on the mainland. Each island represents a distinct chapter of evolution. When the monsoon arrives, the sky transforms. The clouds swirl like armies, black and thick. Thunder rumbles in the strait, echoing among the mountains. The rain pours down, beating the leaves and flooding the rivers. The streams overflow, forming torrents and carving new channels in the forest floor. However, even in the midst of this deluge, life thrives. Seeds germinate in the damp earth. Insects swarm. The eagle takes refuge on the ledge of its nest, protecting its single chick beneath its broad wings. At night, the forest glows with moisture and sounds. Tree frogs croak rhythmically. Their calls rise and fall like a spring tide. Fireflies twinkle among the vines, their lights weaving miniature constellations. When the rains cease, the dry season silently settles in. The rivers recede, the leaves turn yellow. The treetops, once dark and heavy with moisture, glow golden. The fruit ripens in bunches, sweet and heavy, and the creatures gather to feed. A pair of hornbills breaks the silence with shrill calls. Their wings flash black and white as they return to their hollow tree, where the female has sealed herself with mud, leaving only a slit for the male to feed her. This ritual of isolation and devotion is repeated every year. On the forest floor, hidden beneath layers of fallen leaves, another secret life unfolds. Beetles crawl through the leaf litter, their bodies armored and iridescent. A small snake slithers among the roots, its scales catching the light of the setting sun like ripples of oil. Nearby, a monitor lizard lies half buried in the ground. Its tongue moves in and out, sniffing the air for scents. Every inch of this place is alive. As evening falls, the forest breathes again. The air cools and the first stars twinkle faintly above the treetops. A giant fruit bat, Pteropus vampirus. It takes flight, its wings vast and leathery, its fur golden and burnished in the moonlight. It glides among the trees, sniffing for fruit, its calls sharp and rapid. With cunning faces and silent movements, these bats are gardeners of the night. As they feed, they scatter seeds across the islands, ensuring the forest's continuity. Without them, regeneration would stagnate. High in the mountains, where mist envelops the slopes and the trees twist with age, another shadow moves, neat, powerful, strange, the palm civet eupleris gudoti. A creature resembling a pit bull and a distant relative of cats, but with unique characteristics, slithers through the undergrowth. Its eyes flash fleetingly in the darkness and then vanish. Few have seen it, and even fewer have studied it. Like much of this land, it remains a mystery. The islands of the Philippines are a paradox. Once forests stretched from coast to coast. Today, only fragments remain, isolated pockets where ancient species survive against all odds. The eagle, once queen of the skies, is now a relic of its former kingdom, its population numbering in the hundreds. The tarsier hides deeper inside the forest. The cloud rat clings to increasingly smaller branches. Even amidst this fragility, the forests endure. Life adapts. A fallen tree becomes a nursery for new shoots. In a flooded valley, reeds reclaim their banks and kingfishers return, their blue plumage flashing against the mirrored water. Nature, even weakened, does not surrender easily. In the heart of Mindanao, the last stronghold of the eagle remains. Here, conservationists scale cliffs and trees, protecting nests and watching over the chicks while their parents hunt. They closely follow the eagles, knowing that each pair is vital. When a chick spreads its wings for the first time, it creates a magical moment. Brief, amazing. Then it flies, rising towards the light. Each island is a world unto itself, but together they tell a single story, one of perseverance, adaptation, and wonder. For now the night lingers. The rain begins to fall again, softly at first, then more heavily, washing the dust from the leaves and filling the rivers once more. A tarsier blinks in the dark, and drops of water accumulate on its fur. A fruit bat flies over the area again. The forest sings with renewed vigor. High above, on a towering branch, slick with rain, the eagle sleeps. Its feathers darken in the downpour, its crest flattened, its talons tightly clenched. A flash of lightning crosses the horizon, and for an instant the entire treetop glows white, and again darkness. At dawn, the storm has passed. Mist lingers in the ravines, rising slowly as the sun warms the earth. Water drips from the branches like tears. The forest begins to revive. Across the sea, the islands shimmer. The eagle takes flight once more, and as the air thickens with the heat and sound, the jungle begins to transform again. From rain to drizzle, from gold to grey, the trees give way to even stranger shapes. Somewhere beyond the sea, the next island emerges. The wind carries with it the scent of forests inhabited by fangs that curve like moons. The eagle's cry fades, mingling with the sound of the waves as the journey continues to another world, another marvel. Dawn breaks over Sulawesi. This is a land distorted in form and time. Its mountains rise like broken spines from a restless sea. Its valleys are shrouded in mist. This island is located on a geological fault. It is a living crossroads between two worlds. Asia is located to the west. To the east, Australia. Among them, Sulawesi stands out on its own. Here the forest breathes in layers. Ferns carpet the hillsides, their fronds gleam with dew. The vines twist like snakes among the towering fig trees. The sunlight filters through, pale and greenish, painting the air with shifting patterns. A faint growl echoes from below. Something is moving among the roots, slow, deliberate, armored. The anoa, Bubalus depressicornis. The buffalo, the smallest wild animal in the world, comes into view. It barely reaches a man's chest and slithers through the undergrowth. Its dark coat is slippery with moisture, its short horns curve backward. It moves on its own like a ghost, stopping to drink from a shallow stream. In its reflection, ferns sway and insects flutter. In the clearing beyond, chaos reigns. Two babirusas, Babirusa celebensis. They face off in the mud. Their tusks curve upwards, growing not from the lower jaw, but through the flesh of the snout. They curl in a spiral like ivory half-moons towards their foreheads. The pair snorts, spins and clashes. Mud splashes. Their hooves dig deep as they push and twist. It's a battle for dominance and mates. Their strange tusks, fragile and deadly, are both weapons and ornaments. The air is filled with grunts and the wet thump of muscles. Then, as suddenly as it began, one of them falters. The victor steps forward and looks up at the treetops. Steam rises from his back. The forest falls silent again. Above them, in the light-dappled canopy, another world vibrates with sound. Crested macaques, macaca, nigra. They chatter and quarrel among the branches. With dark, expressive fur, they are hierarchical creatures with a great sense of humor. Their faces are distinguished by elongated snouts. Their eyes are deep and intelligent. A young male swings recklessly from vine to vine. Below, the older male reprimands him with a sharp bark. Moments later, they groom each other, forgetting the argument. The morning heat intensifies. The cicadas erupt in chorus, their voices merging into a single vibrant drone. The thick, damp forest begins to sparkle, and in the open spaces, life takes on a different form. On the black volcanic sands near the coast, a snipe, Macrocephalon maleo, burrows frenetically. Its feathers shine, black above, a soft pink below, and its bare blue face gleams in the sun. The ground is warm, heated by the island's volcanic heart. Here the maleo buries its eggs deep, entrusting them not to its parents, but to the earth itself. The warmth will cause them to hatch. When the chicks emerge, days later, they are fully feathered and ready to fly. Their parents will never see them again. The ground beneath their feet is ancient, yet constantly changing. Earthquakes rumble in its depths. Rivers carve valleys that have risen and fallen countless times, and yet the creatures of Sulawesi endure, shaped by isolation and chance. Around midday, the air becomes denser. The rainy season has arrived. Dark, dense clouds rise above the peaks, heavy with rain. Lightning flashes across the sky. The first drops fall. In an instant, the forest is transformed. Streams become torrents. The scent of the earth rises. Frogs emerge from hidden pools, their croaks echoing through the downpour. Insects hatch in swarms, their wings gleaming silver in the light. High in the treetops, macaques huddle beneath broad leaves, their fur slippery. Below, the anoa seeks refuge among the ferns. The babirusa wallows in an ever-deepening puddle, its eyes squinting. The rain washes the blood and mud from her skin. For the maleo, the storm is both a blessing and a danger. It is renewal, certainly, but at the same time, the volcanic sands cool too quickly and the eggs can be lost. When the rains cease, a new world emerges. The forest steams, water drips from every leaf. Mushrooms sprout overnight, red, gold, ghostly white. Butterflies rise in clouds, their wings flashing orange and turquoise. The maleo returns to the shore, inspecting the sand for warmth. Insects crawl on their legs, feeding on the salt on their feathers. Farther out, a strange song echoes, low, resonant, almost human. It belongs to Cassidy's hornbill, Riticeros cassidix, the hornbill, Croatus sp. A bird of deep forests and treetops. Its casque, a bony crest of intense orange, gleams in the sun as it soars among the trees. The hornbill's life is one of devotion. When her mate lays his eggs, she shuts herself inside a hollow tree. She seals the entrance with mud and fruit pulp. Only a narrow opening remains through which the male feeds her. For months, he brings her fruit, insects, and occasionally a lizard. When the chicks finally leave the nest, the forest fills with their joyful chittering. Even in this abundance, scarcity is never far away. The dry season is approaching and the rivers are drying up. Puddles are turning into muddy quagmires. Fruit is scarce. The anoa moves into wider territories, kicking up dust with its hooves. Macaques descend to raid the clearings in the lowlands, stealing from farmers' fields. The babirusa digs deeper into the cold earth in search of hidden tubers. As the heat intensifies, a thin mist begins to blanket the land. The forest murmurs more softly, more slowly, yet even now life adapts. The hornbill feeds on figs, the macaques on bark and buds. The eggs of the maleo, buried deep, remain safe, warmed by the earth. Here in Sulawesi, Wallace's Great Line falters. This is an invisible border that separates the tigers and elephants of Asia from the kangaroos and cockatoos of Australia. To the west, monkeys dominate. To the east, marsupials roam. And yet, here, the two worlds meet. They collide, merge, and invent new forms. Nowhere else on Earth does life seem so uncertain. The anoa, a miniature buffalo. The babirusa is a pig, but something completely different. The tarsia's cousin, with its enormous eyes and tiny body. In the shallow waters beyond the island, this fusion continues beneath the waves. Coral gardens shimmer with impossible colors, pink, violet, and emerald, and fish dart like flashes of light. The reef is alive, teeming with life. Mandarin fish, Synchirapus splendidus, painted in blues and oranges, caught in spirals of movement. Sea serpents slither among coral arches, their scales gleaming silver. Above, the surface cracks. A sea eagle dives, its talons piercing the water, and resurfaces with writhing prey. Millions of years ago, fragments of land collided here, torn from different continents, fusing into one. Each one carried her own burden of life. Marsupials from the east met primates from the west. Birds crossed open seas. Seeds arrived with the tides. The island became a mosaic of origins. Now, at dusk, the forest turns golden. The exhausted babirusa rests beside a pool. The macaques groom each other in the light of the setting sun. A hornbill sings again, beating its wings against the twilight, and through the shadows, the anoa descends from the trees. Around it, fireflies begin to glow. Night falls with a sudden grace. The forest cools, the air filled with the scent of damp bark and fruit. A chorus of frogs intensifies, joined by the chirping of crickets. In this darkness, life continues unseen. The babirusa dreams, shivering in its sleep. The anoa grazes under the moon, its soft hooves in the mud. In the treetops, the macaques huddle together for warmth, their faces hidden, their breath rising in small clouds. Somewhere deep in the forest, the maleo's eggs begin to tremble. The next generation is stirring. The thunder rumbles again, distant yet close. The air thickens. Beyond the coast, the sea shimmers turquoise, vibrant with light and movement. The reef stirs, the coral sparkles beneath the gathering clouds. The rain will return, and with it renewal. And when the first drops fall on the canopy, the story takes a turn. Meanwhile, a new dawn is on the horizon in Papua New Guinea. The mountains exhale mist. The valleys lie veiled in white. Its wooded slopes are covered in clouds. The first rays of light shine faintly through the mist. The forest stirs. Here the air buzzes with wings, with the rain, with voices that sound like half song, half magic. This is a land between worlds, never quite an island, never fully continental. It is a living bridge between Asia and the Pacific. Every hillside, every ridge is alive with the experiments of creation. From the shadows of the treetops, a flash of color ignites. A male bird of paradise launches itself onto its display perch, a slender branch polished by generations of dancers. Its feathers gleam, catching the first rays of dawn. Its throat burns emerald, its breast a deep velvety black. With a swift movement, it unfurls its feathers. Golden rays burst forth in a halo of light. It sways, leaps, emitting a metallic sound that echoes through the forest like the clatter of stone against stone. Below, a female watches, cautious, silent. He acts not out of hunger or defense, but out of beauty, for the right to transmit genius itself. Nearby, another man joins the chorus. The feathers on its tail curl into turquoise ribbons. It spreads them in a living arc, turning the sunlight into liquid color. For these birds, display is their destiny. As the sun rises, the forest reveals its multitude of forms. The air is dense, the light is green, and it moves. Orchids cling to branches, their petals painted with dew. Ferns unfurl in spirals of impossible grace. Butterflies flutter among the sunbeams, their wings like stained glass, and beneath the foliage something heavier stirs, slow, deliberate, ancient. A cassowary, Casuarius casuaris. It emerges from the shadows. Nearly 2 meters tall, its helmet resembling a helm gleams blue and black. Its neck glows cobalt and crimson. Each step sinks into the leaf litter. Its eyes are ferocious, its claws curved like knives. It feeds on fallen fruit, swallowing it whole, and its throat throbs with each swallow. These fruits will pass through its body intact. Their seeds will be reborn wherever the cassowary roams. High above, a movement catches the eye. A tree kangaroo, Dendrolagus, climbs through the tangle of vines, Goodfellowy. Its fur is thick, reddish, and cream. Its limbs, designed for leaping, now grip the branches with careful strength. It pauses, head tilted and snout twitching. The air is thick with the scent of flowers and rain. It leaps again, tracing slow, floating arcs in the air, its tail balancing each movement. The morning vibrates with life. Insects rise like smoke from the forest floor. Frogs croak from hidden pools, their voices echoing like drops in a cave. A cuscus, Spiocuscus maculatus. A woolly marsupial with golden fur curls up high in a tangle of vines, its round eyes watching. It only moves when the shadows deepen, feeding on leaves and tender fruits. Around them, creatures awaken, hunt, sing, and sleep in cycles linked to the rain and the light. The rainy season intensifies. Each evening, vast white clouds form and rise above the mountains. Then comes the thunder. The forest trembles under the downpour. The rain falls with a roar. Water patters across the leaves, carving new streams in the red earth. In a matter of minutes, the paths become rivers. The air is thick with the scent of damp earth and decay. For the birds of paradise, this is a time of abundance. Fruits ripen, insects hatch, the forest vibrates. The males polish their perches, cleaning leaves and branches to perfection. They dance again and again. Every feather must gleam, every step precise. For a single glance of approval, they would twirl and leap until they were exhausted. The females, ever watchful, choose carefully. Beauty and elegance are proof of their aptitude. When the storm subsides, steam rises from the ground, rain drips from every leaf. A cassowary shakes itself. The forest smells of life. In the distance, a male rifle bird, Ptiloris magnificent. It spreads its wings, its feathers catching the last rays of the sun. It unfurls them in a perfect semicircle, its breast a mirror of blue fire. With each bough he flashes light. Beyond the lowland forests, the mountains rise. Here the air cools, the moss-covered trees twist, and the mist clings to the ground like a sigh. In these highlands, nights come early. Temperatures drop. The forest falls silent. The songs of the insects fade into the whisper of the wind through the leaves. In the darkness, the cuscus unfurls and begins its slow journey. It descends the trunk of a fig tree, its tail tucked in tightly for balance. Its fur shimmers faintly in the moonlight. Below, frogs croak in hidden pools and owls flap their wings silently. The dry months are stealthily approaching. The rains are letting up. The streams are shrinking. The leaves curl up. The forest does not die. It waits. The birdsong fades. The vibrant dances cease. Even the cassowary retreats into the shadows, searching for fruit where moisture still lingers. The air smells of dust and fallen petals. Yet amidst the stillness, life prepares. The seeds harden, the fruits thicken. Deep in the soil, the roots absorb what little remains. Then, when the rains return, the cycle repeats. The first drops awaken everything. Frogs emerge from cracks in the earth. Insects swarm in clouds. The treetops tremble with the movement. The bird of paradise lands again, shaking the water from its feathers. Her song cuts through the humid air. Despite everything, Papua New Guinea stands out. Once joined to Australia, now separated by time and the tides, it remains a living museum of an ancient world. Marsupials climb where monkeys never went. Reptiles have survived since prehistoric times. Birds reign supreme. But this beauty walks a tightrope. The forest thins where axes echo. The paths pierce an ancient silence. Yet for now, the island's heart beats strongly. Cassowaries tread trails laid out by their ancestors millennia ago. Tree kangaroos raise their young in canopies that touch the clouds. The birds of paradise perform their dances as they have done for tens of thousands of years. As evening falls, the light turns amber. The mist returns to the valleys, weaving ribbons among the trees. A cassowary crosses a stream, the water parting around its powerful legs. A cuscus peeks out from a hollow branch, its golden eyes blinking slowly. High above, the sky turns coppery, then deep violet. The bird of paradise sings for the last time before nightfall. Its feathers fade in the waning light. The air cools, perfumed with damp leaves and the sweetness of decay. And then, silence. Only the faint whisper of the sea miles away. And the distant rumble of thunder beyond the mountains. Papua New Guinea enters its nighttime rhythm. Miles away, a new dawn rises over Hawaii. The earth itself seems to be alive, like a sleeping giant under a blanket of fog and forest. From the black volcanic slopes to the intense green of the valleys, every surface shines. It rained recently. The waterfalls cascade through the cliffs, pouring silver ribbons into the sea. The air is filled with aroma, salt, orchids, a slight sulfur taste. This is a world born of fire and that still shines in its confines. High in the treetops, a common honey creeper, Drepanus coccinea, it flutters. Its feathers flash crimson and gold as it flits among the blossoms of an ohia tree. Its curved beak fits the flower perfectly, molded over millennia for this single act, to savor the nectar and live life from flower to flower. The tree and the bird are companions, shaped by their mutual persistence. It flutters for a moment, wings buzzing and throat coated in pollen, before plunging into the green labyrinth. In the cool shade below, another honey-eater searches for food, a different species, Himatione sanguinea. Another song. Its beak is shorter, adapted for berries, and its plumage a duller shade of ochre and red. It hops from branch to branch, pausing to open the fruit, its tongue darting rapidly as it feeds. There was a time when these woods echoed with dozens of voices like its own, honey-gatherers of all shapes and colors, each one in tune with her own flower, its own fruit. As the light intensifies, a nene goose, Branta sanvicensis. It advances cautiously across an ancient lava field. Its webbed feet have hardened after generations of walking on the stone. Where molten rock once flowed, green now sprouts anew. Ferns unfurling, mosses spreading through the cracks. The goose lowers its head to graze, its neck marked by striking black stripes. The nene, once on the brink of extinction, survives as an echo of a lineage that once numbered in the thousands. The forest vibrates with life. Bees buzz among the hibiscus flowers, their wings gleaming like crystal. Dragonflies flutter among pockets of mist, their bodies shimmering with a metallic blue. A chameleon clings to a leaf, its skin changing in pulses of green and amber. The air is full of sounds, the trill of the birds, the whisper of the leaves, the distant roar of the waves against the basalt cliffs. On the coast, where the forest gives way to the ocean, the Hawaiian monk seals Neomonachus schauinslandi. They crawl onto the black sand beaches. Their slender bodies gleam silver in the sun. They stretch and curl up, eyes half closed while sleeping, whiskers bristling with dreams of deep waters. They dive in search of fish and octopuses, glide through coral canyons, and return here to rest in the tranquility of hidden coves. Their pale, soft young nurse in the shade of the volcanic rock. For centuries these shores have protected them, but now their world gets smaller every year. The beaches are shrinking, decreased dams. The storms are intensifying. The day grows dark. The sun climbs high, heating the earth until the air trembles. On the slopes of Mauna Loa, the lava fields shimmer like scales. Heat radiates from the ground. Green shoots sprout from the cracks. Life returns even to the fire. Insects find refuge under stones. The lizards move quickly through the shadows. Each valley tells its own story. In the cloud forests of Kauai, the air is thick with moisture. Moss covers every surface, soft and fluffy underfoot. The apapan, himatione blood, a scarlet honeycreeper, sings from the treetops, a high flute-like melody that echoes through the mist. Its feathers glow like embers against the green. Their wings flap to the rhythm of a heartbeat. One calls and another answers. Their songs intertwine. Each note marks territory, attraction, and belonging. In spring, the forest fills with this music, 1,000 voices layered in a living choir. But it's not all about the song. The island's beauty hides a slow and stealthy tragedy. Long ago, ships arrived. In their holds traveled invisible passengers, mosquitoes carrying a curse, avian malaria. The birds of Hawaii, born in paradise and protected by its remoteness, had never known such an enemy. At first there was no sign, a bite here. There's a fever there. But the disease spread with the rain. The lowland forests fell silent. The honeybees, once abundant, began to disappear. By the time people realized what was happening, it was too late. The disease spread with the warming air, reaching ever higher altitudes, forcing the survivors to take refuge in ever-shrinking patches of cooler forest near the peaks. One by one, the voices fell silent. The o'o black and gold, whose song once rang clear as a bell, is gone. The Akialoa, with its incredibly long beak, has also disappeared. The Ula, Ihawan, crimson like the spilled sunset, also suffered the same fate. The honey creepers that still survive are few. The iiwi, with its curved coral beak, the amakihi, small and tenacious, clinging to the highest ridges. They are the last verses of a fading song surviving at the very edge of the mosquito's reach. Every dawn they continue to sing. As the day cools, clouds gather again around the peaks. The fog thickens, drifting among the branches like smoke. The volcanic soil, fertile and restless, absorbs the rain, seeds fall, roots take hold, and the cycle begins anew. Even when species disappear, new ones emerge. The earth endures, transforming itself through fire, water, and time. At night, the world glows dimly. From the crater of Kilauea, molten rock erupts and solidifies, glowing orange under the stars. Rivers of lava flow toward the sea, meeting it in an explosion of steam and hissing. New land is born, hot and radiant. On its black, barren surface, there is still no life, but the wind already carries spores and seeds. In a few years, lichens will appear, then ferns, and then the first tree roots. On the coast, monk seals move while they sleep. The waves whisper around them, the tide rises and falls. A neen calls softly from the cliffs, a solitary sound carried by the wind. And inland, on a high branch among the ohia trees, a lone honey creeper sings in the darkness. Spring will return, the rains will fall, the trees will blossom, and for a moment, the forest will seem whole. Right now, as midnight approaches, the volcano breathes. Lava glows through the fissures like veins of fire beneath the world's surface. From above, the island glows like a live ember adrift in a dark sea. And then beyond the glow of the lava, the ocean stretches out, vast, black and endless. The wind rises, carrying with it the scent of salt and ash. The honey creeper folds its wings, the forest falls silent, and the island falls asleep again to the rhythm of the Pacific. Far beyond the horizon, invisible in the darkness, another island awaits. The island of Socotra emerges like a mirage from the Arabian Sea, a sun-bleached fragment of an older Earth. From above, it seems almost unreal. Its plateaus bathed in ochre and sand, its cliffs sculpted by the wind into impossible shapes. The sea that surrounds it shines with turquoise and white. The waves crash against its coral edge. Few clouds venture this way. The air is infused with salt and heat and charged with the faint sweetness of incense. At the break of dawn, the earth slowly awakens. The first rays of sunlight touch the tops of the dragon's blood trees. Broad, umbrellas that seem to defy reason. Its branches twist upwards like veins, casting shade on the rocky ground below. Their trunks are pale and smooth. Its crown is dense, with clustered leaves that shine silvery green in the morning sun. When you cut them, their sap flows red, thick, vivid, surprisingly alive. The ancients believed it was dragon's blood. Today it remains the island's lifeline, healing wounds, feeding the resin traders. Its aroma holds centuries of dust. Beneath these exotic trees, life stirs. A Socotra blue baboon spider, Monocentropus balfouri. It emerges stealthily from its burrow, its legs gleaming metallic blue in the light. It pauses at the entrance to its silken tunnel, where the dry wind brushes against its bristles. For most of the day, it will take refuge in the darkness. There it remains, hidden from the brutal glare of the sun. It hunts by touch, by vibration, reading the tremors of the insects that cross its invisible web. Even here, in this oven of stone and air, it thrives. Across the plateau, lizards are the first to take advantage of the heat. Skinks glide across the hot rock, their scales reflecting the light like molten copper. A Socotra chameleon, Chameleomonicus, clings to a gnarled branch, moving its eyes independently. Her skin changes with the sunrise. From a dusty grey to a sunlit green, it blends in with the bleached branches of the trees. It breathes slowly, its throat throbbing. Watching the insects that congregate near the flowers of the bottle tree, it focuses on one, and then it strikes, quick as lightning. The sticky tongue shoots out in the blink of an eye. Capture your prey. And then it plunges back into the reptile's mouth. Breakfast is served. The bottle trees themselves rise up in grotesque shapes. Their trunks are swollen from the stored water. Its bark is pink, smooth, almost human. Its flowers bloom briefly, soft and pale against the harshness of the surroundings. The wind whistles among them, dry and steady, shaping the sand into rippling waves. As the light intensifies, the island vibrates with a gentle sway. Socotra starling, Onychognathus brother, flutters from a cliff. Its plumage is glossy black with violet and green highlights. It tilts its head and emits a soft call with a flowing, haunting note that echoes among the rocks. Its wings are short and strong, adapted for maneuvering in fierce winds. It hops lightly among the stones, pecking at insects and fallen fruit. Nearby, a nectarine darts swiftly past, its metallic throat gleaming as it darts among the flowers. The air vibrates with its brief songs. Below, on the shore, the sea crashes against the coral limestone cliffs. Tidal pools form among the jagged rocks, teeming with hermit crabs and swift-moving small fish. The crabs scurry about, dragging borrowed shells across the sand. Algae sparkle in the shallow waters, a brilliant green against the black stone. When the tide goes out, it leaves behind a mosaic of salt crystals. At midday, the heat becomes relentless. The plateau glows, the air ripples in visible waves. The dragon's blood trees cast scattered shadows. Beneath them, lizards rest with their mouths slightly open, sucking in the cool air. The chameleon closes one eye, then the other. And even here, life endures. Trees draw their strength from stone. Animals store moisture in bodies adapted for drought. The wings shorten, the scales thicken. The roots penetrate deep into the fractures in the rock. When the monsoon finally arrives, the island is transformed. Dark clouds roll in from the sea, carried by moisture-laden winds. The rain pours down, lashing the land and filling the dry riverbeds with raging torrents. The bottle trees swell up again. The seeds that have lain dormant for months sprout with vigor. The ferns unfurl overnight. For a few weeks, Socotra is tender. The air is filled with the scent of flowers and earth. The dragon's blood trees drink deeply, and their crimson sap flows once more through their veins. The birds return to feed and reproduce. The Socotra starling sings louder, its bright voice rising above the patter of the rain. Insects hatch in the clouds, and lizards emerge to feast. Even the spider ventures farther from its burrow, hunting beneath the dripping leaves. The earth seems to be reborn, but the rain soon stops. The clouds pass. The rivers are drying up. The green fades into grey. It has always been this way. For millions of years, Socotra has remained isolated, a fragment of Gondwana stranded by shifting seas. Its isolated and solitary life forms evolved uninterrupted. Reptiles became rulers, birds took on strange forms, and trees grew even more unique. There are no real predators here. The island's struggle is not between hunter and prey, but between resistance and adaptation. Even so, the balance is fragile. In recent decades, goats have arrived, brought by humans seeking pasture where none existed. They climb where even lizards hesitate. They tear off the leaves, gnaw at the bark, and undo centuries of patient growth. Invasive plants follow, spreading rapidly and smothering the native species that can't grow anywhere else. The dragon trees now retreat to the higher plateaus. Some stand alone, surrounded by stones where no new shoots will grow. The air still buzzes with insects, but there are fewer and fewer songbirds. As the day declines, the light becomes dim. The cliffs glow red and the sea reflects the sun. Shadows lengthen across the plateau. The wind shifts, now fresh, carrying with it the scent of salt and distant rain. The Socotra chameleon climbs higher, seeking the last warmth of the rocks. The blue spider retreats to its silk-lined burrow, sealing the entrance against the night. The starling sings once more from its cliff, its voice rising against the wind. Then darkness falls. The island glows faintly with its light, the pale bark of the trees and the glistening dew on the rocks. Night belongs to the smallest creatures. The geckos emerge, moving along the tree trunks. Their tongues flick, searching for moths drawn to the flowers' faint glow. Crickets chirp rhythmically among the undergrowth. A solitary owl circles the cliffs, its wings silently slicing through the air. Below, the sea glows faintly with bioluminescent plankton. At dawn, the first light returns. The plateau is tinged with dusty pink hues. The dragon's blood trees remain rooted to the earth, as they have been for thousands of years. Beneath them, lizards stir, wings flutter, and the cycle begins anew. This is life in these isolated enclaves scattered around the world.